At every point in your life, you're at one of these 3 stages: aspiring to reach a certain goal, succeeding at something, or failing. Keep that in mind while I introduce you to Mike. As a recent college dropout, Mike started a supplement company out of his garage. Mike saw that someone similar to him was able to go viral thanks to social media and sell out his products to reach $1 million in 3 months. So that's Mike's goal. He spends hours and hours hanging out with friends, talking about how big his brand is going to get. By this point, the entire town has heard of Mike's plan, but no one has actually seen him put in the work. Then we have Sarah. Sarah just got promoted to director of marketing for the hottest and trendiest workout clothing brand. You all know who it is. This was Sarah's dream all along. Her friends still can't believe it. Her parents couldn't be prouder, and with her new director's salary, you'll be seeing her driving around in the car of her dreams. What more could she need? Lastly, there's Frank. Frank is the founder of the most prestigious newspaper brand globally that he started himself from zero. Thanks to his work, Frank now has it all. The family, the money, the cars, the team, you name it, he's got it. However, it's no surprise that the newspaper industry has been on a downfall and clearly is going to continue to decline. He was presented with 2 options: sell it to a company that would keep the name and take the business digital, or shut down the brand and honor the years of success. He wants neither. He's determined to beat the industry and continues to use the little money that's left in the bank on hiring more and more writers and pumping out more copies. What could these 3 very different people have in common? One thing we actually all have, and it's called our egos. But what is an ego? Because it's a word that gets thrown around very often, both in a good and a bad way. But what is it? The word-for-word definition is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. However, Ryan Holiday breaks it down even more inside the book, Ego is the Enemy. And lucky for you, by the end of this video, not only will you have a full book summary of this life-changing book, but also the implementable action tips, because we all know it's not just about reading it, but actually putting it to the test. So remember those 3 stages of life that we all go through? Mike, Sarah, and Frank are going through them just like you and I are today. The problem with the ego at the stage similar to where Mike is at, the stage of aspiring to reach a goal, is that it doesn't let you function. In your mind, it's as if you already made it. How can someone be busy and not accomplish anything? It's called the passion paradox. Mike is at a moment where talking is outweighing what he's doing, and if he doesn't catch it and transform it quick enough, he'll end up with no supplement company and no real $1 million company that he's told everyone about. Know someone similar? I think we all do. And it doesn't stop just there. Now we jump to Sarah. In Sarah's mind, she's making it. This is the peak of her life, yet she's 25. There's like 75% more to live. The problem with the ego at the succeeding stage is that it clouds your judgment. I kind of see it as like a runner's high, or even that liquid courage that college boys get on a night out. She thinks she knows it all. She thinks she's better than all her friends, everyone at the company, and definitely everyone else she went to school with that is still stuck waiting tables. Her ego stops her from delegating tasks to the team because she thinks only she can handle them. Her ego stops her from learning because she thinks she already knows it all. Her ego stops her from even considering what could come next because she sees this as the peak. Her ego is her biggest enemy around. Frank, on the other hand, is at a completely different end because in his case, ego is doing everything possible to prevent him from failing. Who said failing was bad? Who said failing would discredit everything he's built in the past 70 years? Here's a quote I heard that I loved. When success begins to slip from your fingers, understand that you must work yourself back to the aspirational phase. You must get back to those first principles and best practices. Frank has built up a global billion-dollar business. He can definitely do that again. But he doesn't see that. Very similarly to Mike and Sarah, his ego is the biggest enemy at this stage. And ironically, if we're all at one of those 3 stages, then that means our ego is our biggest enemy too, and that it will continue to be as we move throughout the stages. So what's the best way to fight it or avoid it? Before we jump into a simple 3-step solution, I'm going to share something that personally helps me. The more aware we are at each stage of what that ego monster looks like, the more careful we are with falling into its hidden traps. If you know that at the aspiring stage, it's going to hold you back, do everything possible to perform and show up at a level higher than the expected norm. Put in the work, put in the hours. At the succeeding stage, stay humble, stay a student. And then at the failing stage, know when to walk away and start that loop all over again. Now listen up, because this formula makes it even easier to remember and extremely easy to implement. It's called the plus minus equals formula, created by UFC fighter Frank Shamrock. His theory is that a fighter always needs to have someone better to learn from, someone lesser to teach, and an equal partner to be able to challenge themselves with. At the aspiring stage with Mike, he needs to focus on finding an equal, someone that will keep him accountable into building up this business that he dreams of. An equal knows when you can put in more effort and will also be there to celebrate the wins. At the succeeding stage, you need a plus. That plus person will always remind you that there's so much more to be done, so much higher that could be achieved. For Sarah, it could be someone who has successfully managed multiple brands at a CMO level. And lastly, a minus is very needed when going through that failing stage. That minus is a person that can learn even from your biggest mistakes. Frank can teach so much of what has helped him grow to a hungry student eager to learn. There's always people that will know more than you, and always people that are wanting to learn. And this applies to everyone, you and me, at any stage. You're always a few steps ahead of others and a few steps behind others. If you let your ego remove your blinders, you'll see it too. If you've already read this book, go ahead and drop your thoughts down below. And if this episode left you hungry to learn more, then the book link is down below in the description.